Welcome to a new episode of Big Bun Game Club. I am going to talk about Yakuza Like a Dragon. This is a interesting game to talk about since it has changed the genre up from what Yakuza is known for. Yakuza has been known to be a action-based beat 'em up game, and now they decided to change the genre to a turn-based JRPG. I always love seeing franchises take these kind of chances in a mainline series. This isn't a spin-off, this is kind of a sequel, but we'll get into that later. But I do like seeing these kind of chances because it just shows that they're making these games that they want to make and they're not making something for the numbers. So I do like that they decided to take a little chance and change the genre up a bit. Or at least the franchise up. But how does Yakuza Like a Dragon fare as a turn-based RPG? I think for the most part, it does a very good job with the transition. It does have a good flow to it. I think there's just some areas that could be improved on in the next game. In some areas, just seem kind of wonky and just kind of flimsy or inconsistent. And I think a lot of this is just it's very minor stuff in the whole context of the game. I think if you are to look at the whole package, this stuff is very minor and it could be kind of tweaked here and there, but it's nothing that is going to ruin the experience or um, make it unplayable or anything like that. But the issues I had with Yakuza Like a Dragon just kind of pertains to some of the nuances of it. Like a Dragon introduces a class system. You could change your jobs at any moment. You could be a hero, you could be a break dancer, you could be a hostess, it could be whatever. You could be a lot of things. And I do like that changes up your stats a little bit. You could be more resistant to fire, you could be more magic based, it could be all kinds of stuff. So I do like that they have this system where you can kind of change on the fly any of your party members. Usually in most RPGs, whatever your character is, that's that for the whole point of the game, the whole length of it. Here you can at least kind of customize your party. The only time I ran into an issue with this, or at least something that kind of undermines the system, is the second to last boss fight really makes it so that it favors one class overall. I was the breakdancer for the majority of the game, and I love the breakdancer. You had a move that can give your party some HP back. You have a move that can increase your party offense. You could have a move that increases your defense, all that kind of stuff. But when I got to that particular boss fight, I realized, or not that I realized, but people I was trying to get help from were telling me, yeah, you should be the hero class for this fight. And it's like, so then what was the point of having this class system? Because the hero was the default system you start out in. You start out as a hero. And it's like, then why offer these other jobs if they're not going to mean anything for the final boss, Like it just seems that fight undermined the whole point of the system because I was 5 levels above the second to last boss fight. I was 5 levels above him, and I had full health. I had increased my defense. I have decreased his attack. I blocked, and I still died in one hit. And it's like, why? And it was just driving me up the wall. And I just feel like, if you're gonna have this job system, the boss fights have to complement that. They can't just favor one job overall. It just kind of feels like you should just stay as the hero the whole game, and that'll be fine because you get a move as the hero class that will make you endure a lethal attack, pretty much. And it's like, then what was the point of having a job system then? So a lot of this kind of undermines what the game introduced, but that's not a huge issue. It's not like make or break. It's just something that I kind of wish, uh, I didn't have to sit there and be like, okay, well, it was nice being the breakdancer. Time to go back to the base job. I wish I had the full choice of being whatever I wanted and beat the game with that. Excuse me, but that aside is not a big. That's not a huge deal. The thing that is a big deal for me, at least, was I don't know if this was intentional for the most part. When you start combat, you have party on the other side of the screen, obviously, but sometimes your party members might be like a little bit behind you, so they might be behind a building or whatever. So there were instances where I would tell Adachi, for example, hey, attack that enemy that's like on the other side of the wall because you could select that. Adachi would get stuck on a wall for a good minute and then go around it. And I was just like, why did it take Adachi a minute to realize he was running into a wall? Like that just doesn't make sense. Like I feel like that stuff like that feels like it's an oversight. I just don't think that's how it's supposed to work because it makes no sense for a character to run into a wall for like a minute. So that stuff felt kind of weird and wonky because usually RPGs open an arena that you fight. This one they don't do that. It's just hey, wherever you fight, that's where you fight, which I liked, but it just feels really weird when you see enemies or your party member run into a wall for a minute to realize, wait a second, I can go around that, and it's like, this seems kind of like a an oversight in the development of it. There are also moments where, there could be a guardrail, and when an enemy's down, you could do double damage if you attack them. And so there are moments where they're down, and I'm like, oh, sweet, I can get this bonus on damage. I tell like Adachi or Namba to do that. They run up to him, they get stuck on a wall, and then they don't do it, and they miss an opportunity. And it's like they could have done it. Like they've gone over a guard railing before, and now they can't. Like some of that just feels very buggy to me. Like it doesn't seem that that was intended for the most part. And it could happen to the enemies as well. They sometimes get stuck on walls, and it kind of artificially draws out battles. There was this one battle that was going on for so long because everyone was getting stuck on the terrain, and it's like this should be fixed. Like hopefully in the next Yakuza game, they find a way to remedy that instead of just kind of saying, you're stuck with this. I just feel that the terrain just seemed very last minute almost. Like it almost feels like that it wasn't supposed to have any terrain almost in the combat, but they decided to add it. So I think I could hope that they kind of remedy that moving forward. The other thing that is a slight issue I had was the level pacing seems kind of wonky. So you could go into an area and you can't save when you go into these certain areas in the story. Like you have to go all the way through, or you have to start over. So you could go through an entire level pretty well. Like let's say in one area there was you were surrounded by level you were surrounded by enemies in level like 35 to 45 at least in between that area. You would go through that, and then you'd be greeted by a boss fight that were two level 50s, and it's like this is like jarring, the leap in levels from what you were fighting to that point. It's like why are they level 50? If that was the case, either the level should be longer so that you can at least get some opportunities to get some XP or something else. I don't know. It's just it seems like a huge leap sometimes in some areas, and you'll find yourself stuck. Like if you're like maybe one or two levels below them or above them or in that ballpark of what the boss level is, you're gonna be stuck in a fight where you're really gonna question, should I just go back and just grind and then go back through all of that to get to this point, or should I just keep trying and get lucky? It just isn't very convenient in the sense that you'll go against this boss and it'll just be like, I've gone through so much shit to get here, and now I have to go back and grind and do all this again. And it's just that question of like, do you want to invest all that time again to just do this and I'll just kind of draw it out and all that? It's just kind of maddening in some cases. And what adds salt to injury is that the game overs cost you money, not real world money. It costs you money in the game, and I understand. Like I think it would have been fine if it's like, hey, you could either retry from where you entered for free. That should have been free. But if you want full recovery, like full HP, full magic, all that, then pay the price for that. That I think is much better than either way you pay. It's like, I think one way should have been free than that. It just kind of makes it a little more frustrating when you die. But that's like a small criticism. I wouldn't say it's a make or break kind of deal. The other thing that I don't really love was that there are moments in the game, mostly one chapter, really expects a lot of money out of you, and it might not be a problem for anyone else. This is just kind of like depends on how you play the game. But I do not really like the Ichiban Convections or Ichiban Holdings minigame they give you, and you only unlock that in Chapter 5 of the game. Chapter 4, when you're trying to get all the accessories and equipment you need to continue the story, that is kind of a rough point in the game where a lot of the gear is a little expensive and you might not have the money for it, so you're gonna be going against a lot of random stuff to get the money for that. But for chapter 12, they ask you for 3 million yen, which is like a lot unless you do the Ichiban convection stuff, which I don't think that might not pertain to a lot of people. So I think if you're not into that minigame at all, it's going to be an uphill battle if you don't save your money, if you don't grind for it. Otherwise, you're just going to be grinding, or just going through all these money hurdles through the Ichiban convections, which I don't really love. I like the minigame enough where it's like, yeah, I'll do it here and there, but if you're just really bad, or if you just don't completely understand some of the way that whole minigame works, you could fuck yourself over and just kind of be locked out of that whole minigame entirely. Um, so that is kind of like a steep curve to get to learn. If you're not careful enough, you might just be in the right in that whole minigame for a long period of time. Uh, I wouldn't say it's a bad minigame. I kind of liked it overall, but it was just kind of like I was really bad with it, so it's like, yeah, I kind of fucked my whole game over with that. So it's not really the game's fault on that. It's just I did not get what I was doing half the time, so I kind of fucked myself over. But uh, it's still rough to kind of have this big money curve and all this stuff sometimes, and the economy of that game is a little rough too. Um, I found myself just kind of getting a little bit frustrated with the gear that you get. Sometimes, like, I got this gear from a battle arena that I was doing. The battle arena is kind of fun, but I'll get into that very shortly. But the money I got out of that, I was able to get some good gear. And then when I was trying to craft gear, upgrade my gear, buy new gear, I found almost all the time I would do that, it would be worse gear than what I had. And it's like, I don't know, and sometimes it's like I'd be thinking like maybe if I keep upgrading it, it would just get better. Maybe that's the point of it. And it's like I don't know if I should even invest in that when I have gear that's better right now. It's just this weird like economy that just feels like uh there's no incentive to invest in it sometimes, because it's like you have to grind a lot of specific materials, money, and all this stuff for something that you may or may not know can upgrade to be better than what you have currently. So it's just it really asks you for this big time investment when you don't even know if what you're gonna get out of it is gonna be better than what you have right now. So I just didn't really mess with it for the most part near the end. I did for the beginning and middle, like it's good for that period of the game, but near the end when you find something that's really good, it's like I don't know if I should invest in that anymore. And the money is just the amount of money that you have to spend on some equipment. It's like it doesn't really have to be this expensive. It's just kind of a little weird with that. The other thing I will say is a small criticism is the battle arena. I loved it, but they never expanded on it. Once you get to level 30 on that arena, that's where it stops. And it's like I wish like the more you go on in the story, they add more levels to it. It just seems a little silly that it stayed at level 30, and at the very least they don't ever increase in challenge. It stays the same challenge no matter what. So if you go there to grind, that'll be good for a while, but then once you're like level 60, you're just gonna steamroll everything in that tower, and it's like, okay, can we like I wish there was a way to kind of improve it, and there's not even multiple battle arenas. Like I was kind of expecting like the one you see is in Sotenbori, And I was really hoping that Kamurocho was gonna have their own ballerina because Kamurocho in of itself has a coliseum in it. So I was like, okay, maybe Kamurocho is gonna have another ballerina that's gonna be more high level, but it's like no, it's only gonna be this one area that's gonna get it. It's gonna stay at this level, this challenge, everything, and it's like that's a little of a bummer. I kind of wish that it expanded more on that, so that way it'd be more of an incentive to do it. And some of the rewards you get just are the same rewards, so it's like is the ballerina going to be worth it by the end? Probably not. The Kamurocho sewers are pretty good, and the Ijincho sewer levels you go to are pretty good with grinding. I just didn't like how you can't save almost anywhere. You kind of really have to really hope that you find enough like save areas and that kind of stuff to get around it. But uh, my other issue with the sewer levels was that there were just areas that were blocked off, and I never really knew how to get past that. But other than that, it's still pretty fun. Like the leveling, the class system, the pacing, level wise, the ballerina and grinding stuff, the economy in that game is a little bit frustrating, and the terrain can be kind of rough, but these are all like small issues to the greater whole of the game. Like, the combat's still fun. It's still rewarding to kind of get through that. I found myself kind of going through every random battle on the street just to do a fight. I just loved the combat so much that I was just kind of going out of my way to get into fights in that game. The side missions are really fun. Like usually when I play Yakuza, I never really mess around with the side missions. I only do them if they're on the way to a main mission, or if I really want to, or if they just interest me. I would do them, and then that would be it. This one I found myself kind of going out of my way to do all of them as much as I could. I think I ended the playthrough with only 17 side missions I didn't do. So I did a bigger chunk than I did in any other Yakuza game in the past. Because they were a lot of fun. There were a lot of cool stories that were charming and fun to kind of go through to see what was going to happen. So I do like the side missions a lot in this game. They were a lot of fun to do. Sometimes they would kind of give you this goofy ass fight, like you fight a Roomba pretty much, and that was a lot of fun to do that. I do like a lot of them in some cases, but I found myself loving more the survive bar conversations, the kind of the S links in the game where you kind of go through the party and you do their little character stories, and I really love that part. What I liked about that the most though was they give you dialogue options, and all of them are pretty much correct. All they do is give you certain stat increases, be it for intellect, charisma, kindness, whatever. So I do like that that there's incentive to pick whatever you want, and they're actually really interesting. My favorite one honestly was Saiko's survive bar conversations. I really liked her whole story. Same with Adachi's. Namba's was alright. I just thought that it was a little kind of meandering a little bit. It started in this weird place, then it kind of goes to somewhere else. It's like, it's alright, but I didn't really connect with it as much as I did with Saiko's or Namba, Dachi's. Uh, Jung's, oh, I can't remember his name. It's like Jung Wang, the guy with the white hair. His was okay. I didn't really love it necessarily, but it was all right. Zhao's was pretty okay as well, but I liked Psycho's the most. I think hers was like my top favorite story to do. Speaking of that, let's get into the story of Yakuza Like a Dragon. This story was fucking rad. I really found myself really immersed, and usually I have this weird relationship with Yakuza games where I play them for a bit, and then I do a long hiatus, and then I play it the following year to beat it, and it's like, I don't know why I'm like this with Yakuza. It's like I play, I'm like, okay, and then it's like, oh, I want to play this game instead, and then I never go back until I'm like, oh wait, I should go back to this game. Like, it took me so long to beat Yakuza Kiwami, Yakuza 0, and a little bit of 6-6 I kind of committed to a little bit, but Kiwami I think took the longest because I kind of took a long break from that game for whatever reason. It wasn't even that like I hated the game or I was bored. It was just like Like, yeah, this game's rad. All right, I'm gonna do something else now. I don't know. I don't know why I'm like that with Yakuza, but I stuck with Like a Dragon for so long. Like I was really invested with the story and the characters and everything that was going on. I really wanted to know what was gonna happen because I think what made Like a Dragon such a strong narrative for me was the villain was not clear. Like they give you a lot of red herrings and a lot of twists about it, but a lot of it is just like, it's nothing felt like mustache twirling evil until you get to like a certain chapter in the game where they kind of reveal that, oh no, the governor is the real villain here because he's kind of orchestrating all this other stuff. Um, so I do like that the story kind of focuses on this. That first you want to know, oh, why did Awakara, oh my god, Awakara, oh my god, why am I like Arakawa. Oh my god, I don't know why I had a brain fart on his name, but Arakawa, like, oh, why did Arakawa shoot Ichiban? Oh, what's going on here? Oh, the Omi Alliance is taking over Kamurocho. What's going on? Oh, and it's like this interesting kind of mystery that you try to uncover, and through this you kind of find out about friendship, trust, and all this kind of stuff that you find out in a lot of RPGs. You kind of find out the power of friendship and all that kind of stuff. But the thing I loved the most about the story was that the ending mattered. Like some people are gonna roll their eyes. Just bear with it. But like Persona 5's ending was like, okay, you beat the God of Control. Good for you, yippee. And it's like, all right, and that was it. Like they don't really talk that much about it after the fact, and it's just like kind of like, all right, and no one seems to like know what happens and all that kind of stuff, all that kind of shit. While and Yakuza Like a Dragon, you accomplish the end of the game, and it's like, yeah, everything changed now. Everything's different. You have there are the remnants of the Tojo clan form a security team now. You have the government's different now. The corrupt governor is not running anymore. Whatever. All this stuff matters. The main bad guy kind of goes through a redemption arc by the end. Uh, you really see all this stuff that kind of pays off. And I love that the most, that it actually mattered. What you did from start to finish had an arc and it mattered and made an impact in the story. While in like most like RPGs that kind of had this narrative of like going against what is told for you, like fate, going against fate. It's like, oh, we're just resetting the clock back to zero now. Everything's good again, and that's that. This is like, yeah, you're going against fate, you're going against like control, all this shit, but now it actually matters and has an impact on the world in the game. So I do like that all of the stuff that you did had an impact. So I'm very curious to see if they continue Yakuza Like a Dragon, like they do a sequel with Ichiban and his merry gang. Like, where's it gonna go next? Is there gonna be a new crime family? What's gonna happen? And what I love the most about the story as well as the gameplay is that it does a good job symbolizing that this is a new chapter. And I think that's one of the reasons why they changed the genre of Yakuza. That's why I think that they switched from being a turn-based game to being an action game to a turn-based game. And I think it's just to help show that this is a completely new chapter that's gonna be continuing on now. We don't have the Omi Alliance anymore. We don't have the Chojo clan anymore. We don't have any of these things that were from the previous game. Kiryu's still like not allowed to be around, so he kind of passes the torch off to Ichiban. All this stuff kind of signifies this is a brand new chapter. And I love when games do them, like they simplify that in the story and in the meta of the gameplay, where it is kind of the synergy going on with it, saying like, yeah, this is a brand new thing and this is where we're going now. And it doesn't, and a lot of people could complain that, oh, they wiped away all of the accomplishments that Kiryu did in Yakuza 0 through 6 and all that kind of stuff, but it also doesn't, because there is still respect for those clans and for Chojo and for Omi. Like they still have a lingering presence with Yakuza, but now it's like, yeah, this time is done. This chapter is over. Now we're going to somewhere new, something brand new, and I think that also represents with Ichiban moving on from caring about a family. Now he's more about like, you know, about this little like group of people that he made bonds with, and it's like, these people need more help, and I want to stay in this smaller town. I'm not about this like huge family presence anymore and all this kind of stuff. So I do like that all this stuff kind of contributes to the theme of starting new. That's what I mean. Like, you don't really need to play Yakuza 0 through 6 to get this game. You could kind of jump in and follow along with it. And if you play those games, you'll appreciate a lot of what this game does. But it does a good job kind of rebooting the game, even though it's not rebooting it at all. It's kind of just doing something new and opening a new chapter. It's continuing from that. And I do like that. I think that this does a better job passing the torch than most other mediums try to do it. A lot of times, when they pass the torch, it's just, yo, you're your younger version of me. Here you go. All right, passing of the torch. And it's like, and that's kind of it. It's kind of like a cop out. This kind of commits to the whole theme of what it means to pass the torch. It's not just as simple like, oh, now it's this and that's that. It's like, oh, okay. So I really loved Yakuza Like a Dragon from start to finish. The flaws I had with it are very minimal, and it didn't really make me hate the game at all. I raged a lot of the time when I was playing it, but now that I took time to sit down and really think about the game, I think the flaws I had are just mostly personal, and a lot of it is just depending on how you play the game. But I do think that it shows a lot of potential that they could expand this system a lot, because it feels so fresh of what you could do with the combat, and how they incorporate, like, you can beat someone up and a card could just come in and hit them to the finishing blow, which is really funny to me, and I love that. You have this new system called Pound Mates that you can call in like other people to come in to help you do an attack or whatever. So I do like a lot of these things that they throw in into the game. The only thing that, this is not even a gripe on the game. So this is not a major thing that uh I was considering buying this game on Xbox One, in the idea that, okay, if I ever buy the next gen version of the Xbox, I'll be able to get the next gen version for free on that, directly, etc., whatever. But I decided to go with the PS4 version because Yakuza and even Judgment and Fist of the North Star all like gave you rewards for having save files for that. They would give you a little presents like, oh, we detected you had Yakuza save data, so we're gonna give you this bonus or whatever. So I was thinking that Yakuza Like a Dragon was gonna do the same thing. It doesn't, so it's like, oh, okay, I got the PS4 version almost for no reason. But that's just a small gripe, whatever. But it's still a great game. I do recommend this game if you're just if you're just wanting to play an RPG, and you're just craving for one. This kind of gives you a good itch for it. I do love a lot of what it does. It kind of advances the story, the characters. Ichiban is really one of my favorite characters in the game that I've played, and I'm gonna have a controversial opinion, guys. Here we go. I like the dub. The dub has a good cast of characters that they played that played the characters. Ichiban's dub is so good. They got Sai Nijima to be Saiko, which is, oh, great, lovely. So I love the dub. I think the dub does a good job conveying the personalities of all the characters and the party members, and I really got into what was going on. But obviously the sub is also really good. I've loved the Japanese voice work in all of the Yakuza games as well, but I just love a good dub when there is a dub, dude. So you have an option. You could go sub or dub. It's all good. Don't worry. You can't go wrong with either. But yeah, I loved Yakuza Like a Dragon. I really can't wait to see if there's gonna be more moving forward. And I hope they stick with this with Ichiban. I don't know if they're gonna keep the same party members. I would love for them to keep the same party members, but who knows? We'll see. But hope you guys enjoyed this video on Yakuza Like a Dragon. Again, thank you guys for the support, be it watching the video, Patreon, Twitch, however you guys support me. Thank you so much for watching these videos as well. I love doing them. I love doing the streams, all of that. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support. Hope to see you in the next video or stream. Bye-bye.